Guys, Bipolar Barbie here. This is PMDD week, so it's either the last day or the second last day. For my sake, I really hope it's like the last day because this is absolutely horrible. It's not really the way that you want to like welcome in the new year, you know what I mean? This has been particularly bad. This has been the worst it's probably been in like a couple of months now. Why? I think I made a few mistakes. Like, it took me a long time to find a treatment that worked, and I sort of haven't been taking my antidepressants lately because with all like the holidays, I didn't realize I ran out, and then like I didn't realize that my scripts had expired, and like just all of this drama. So that's what's kind of made this week a living hell. Also the fact that like my pill, I think I've like forgotten to take it some nights. So again, like the hormones are like all over the place. I've also been really sick, like when I wake up. I think it's just the shitty food I've been eating over Christmas. So I haven't been taking my vitamins, my multivitamins for women, which are apparently really good. And I have kind of noticed that they have made a slight difference with like PMDD. So I've kind of just been like, why am I so irritable? Why am I so fuzzy in the head? Why do I feel so shit? Why am I super fatigued? Like, why do I have this headache? Like, all of the symptoms of PMDD that have literally just made me feel like I'm hitting a goddamn wall. Like, I don't know if I forgot how destructive this particular illness can be. And, like, when it hits, like, every month. I don't think you could ever forget that. But I think, like, when you do kind of find an effective treatment and then you know, you have a reminder of what it was like for so long. Like, seriously, how did I live like this? This isn't even, like, the worst that it's been. Like, it's literally destroyed my life on just such a reoccurring basis for so many years. I honestly don't even know how I'm still alive with PMDD in my life. There is treatment available, there is help available, but it's hard. 1 in 10 menstruating women have PMDD, and more than half of bipolar women have PMDD. And I wanted to talk a little bit about sort of how I got diagnosed, because I think it's really tricky. Not many people know about this, and I think that's really sad because I know how drastically it affects my life, and for years I didn't even know that it existed. So I think raising awareness for it in that point of view so that people know what it is and people can be diagnosed with it when they like really need to be, because I think those statistics don't even show like the actual amount of people that suffer. And I read a post about it on my Instagram, _Bipolar Barbie, and I've had lots of wonderful support from all you fans, so thank you guys for that. I really appreciate it. What really makes me happy though is when people write comments like, I had no idea what this was, but after reading your posts I completely relate and I've been diagnosed and I've started to get treatment for it. It makes me really sad when people are kind of like, I've had this as well and it's horrible. I know what it feels like. I don't want anyone else to feel like this. But one comment I read sort of today that really resonated with me was somebody that wrote, like, I didn't know about this until you, and I brought it up with my doctor, and my doctor simply shrugged it off and kind of said, yeah, well, nearly every woman with bipolar has it, so like that wouldn't surprise me. And then just kind of like shrugged it off like it wasn't a big deal, and wouldn't go into like treatment available for it. And I think that's so wrong. I mean, like, why don't they even mention it to bipolar women when you first kind of get diagnosed? Like, if doctors know that nearly every bipolar woman has it, then why don't we have like a conversation about it? Because the treatment is very different to your bipolar disorder treatment. The treatment is often really conflicting, which makes it really, really hard. It took me years of fighting. It took me about 10 years to figure out what it was. And then it took me probably 2 years to finally get doctors to listen to me, to get them on board, and to find like an appropriate treatment. So I wanted to share with you how I did that so that you guys can like fight for it too, because it is a serious issue, whether anyone wants to believe it or not. And getting effective treatment will seriously change your life. And there's no point for it to be constantly destroying your life. So I guess I started mood charting, and it was really apparent to me that there was more going on than just my bipolar. There was some really other intense mood swings. I basically saw this correlation between my period and this like monthly cycle. So I started Googling like what could be affecting like mood in those times in the month, and I came across PMDD. And I guess I came across a few other things as well. But when I talked to my doctor about it, you know, the first thing they go is maybe it's thyroid, maybe it's a hormone imbalance. I got all my levels checked. There was absolutely nothing wrong. Like, physically, I was completely fine. And I think that's the difference between PMDD and a hormone imbalance. It's not like an imbalance of hormones. It's a sensitivity to those hormone changes in your body. So my first GP was like, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I'd say, like, you probably have that. And I was like, cool. So she's like, all right, we'll start to put you on a pill. I basically went through 4 different pills. And she was kind of like, they take about 3 months to kick in. So you've got to see what, like, goes on during those periods. So I was on, like, these different pills 3 months at a time. And I was in hospital. And I was trying to talk to my psychiatrist about it. She wouldn't have a bar of it. She, you know, and then she finally admitted, oh, I don't even know really that much about PMDD because it's not a psychiatric condition, it's a GP condition. I had a PMDD attack a couple, like, while I was in hospital because I was in there for so long. And the head nurse actually sat down with me at one time of the month to have a chat about it. And he, you know, he asked me what treatment I was on, and I told him, and, you know, he sort of said, the trouble is, like, going on the pill will often make it worse. Like, particularly with bipolar women, because the pill itself can really just affect your bipolar brain. Because, I mean, it makes sense, the correlation between PMDD and bipolar. Bipolar is a sensitivity to chemical changes in your brain. So anything from sleep, you know, I guess serotonin, sunlight, like, everything can affect your mood. So why not hormone levels, I guess. So, after that, I guess, I finally went back onto a pill that I had been on for about 5 years, from, like, sort of like 16 onwards. I decided to try that pill because it seemed to have sit quite well for me. So I did that, and I did find, like, a lot of relief. It certainly was not as much relief as I wanted. I'd also been on the Mirena, and the Mirena worked really well at first because basically it just depleted all of my hormones after being on the pill for so long. But when those hormones started to build up again, it got really, really bad. I've since asked about being taken off the Mirena because there's no point on being on 2 types of, I guess, contraception, since I'm going to be on the pill anyway. And my doctors have basically told me that it's better to stay on both because the Mirena is actually really effective for the physical symptoms of PMDD. And, you know, the pill as well is effective, I guess, for the hormone evening out side of things, for actually kind of stopping that menstrual cycle. So my brain's so fuzzy, I've kind of forgotten where I was. Yeah, so I guess that's PMDD. I found that after that, I did, get a lot of relief, from those symptoms, but it was still a living hell. It was my menstruation nightmare. Like, it's so bad. Words can't describe it. And I'm being reminded of that right now, of how destructive it can be in my life, in relationships, in my physical activity, in having to, like, work and deal with people. I just don't give a fuck right now. It's like New Year's coming up, and I'm like, you know what? I just want to hide away. I just want to eat a bunch of food. I just want to be antisocial, and I just, like, don't even want to exist right now because this is so intense. And, like, it's intense in a way that you don't even realize it's intense because it's not, like, this bursting, like, energy or anything. It's kind of just, like, the intensity of it is that you just feel like you're made of concrete and you honestly can't do anything. It's anticlimactical in that sense of intensity. So, yeah, eventually I kind of worked out that when I tried the Zoloft for other things for my bipolar depression, as well as my borderline, that it was really effective, that antidepressant. I've since found out that the Yaz, the pill that I'm on, and the Zoloft are actually the leading PMDD medications used in combination. So that's great. That explains why it works for me. The Zoloft is also really good because it helps with my anxiety. It also helps with, like, my borderline depression symptoms. So that's awesome. But for a really long time, I was kind of stuck between this rock and a hard place with seeing a bunch of different psychiatrists. I tried, like, 20 different GPs. GPs basically wouldn't touch me because they were like, oh, you got a psychiatrist, you know, you're kind of, I guess I was just out of their expectation range. Like, they didn't want to come near me with a 10-foot pole because, God forbid, something happened, they would be responsible. So they were just terrified of basically interacting with me. Yeah, when I went to a psychiatrist, they were like, look, it's a physical health condition. It's not a mental health condition, even though it severely affects your mental health. So they would, like, palm me off to a GP would bounce me back. Seriously, I felt like I was the tennis ball in a game of tennis. The amount of times that I was just being bounced back and forth between the two. Finally, in my last hospital admission, I literally just got to the point where I said to my psychiatrist, you know what? This is the treatment plan that I want. You have to fix me, because it had gotten so severe that I was literally like, I was about to take my own life. Because I think that is the intensity of depression that you go into. It is like, no, it's not like borderline depression. It's not like bipolar depression. It is its own form of depression. It is like every single one of my mental illnesses like combined together into this really nasty cocktail that gives you this like hangover that just gets worse every day until you have your period. When you get your period, you'll be like, oh my God, like what the hell was that all about? It doesn't, I guess, help you during that period, because normally by then you have done a bunch of damage in your relationships, in your life. Your house will probably look like a war zone. Like, it's bad. It's really bad. So I just want to bring awareness not only to what PMDD is and how serious this is. Like, I can't stress the seriousness of this issue and how prevalent it really, really is. But what makes everything else worse is the way that doctors go about treating it. The fact that it has taken me so long to get treatment. And I think the first step is raising awareness about it. Spread it to your girlfriend. Share this video if you have to. Start a conversation when you're like, my girlfriend's always mentioned to me, oh, I get migraines at my period time. I turn into a crazy psycho bitch. I always take the opportunity to talk about my experiences with PMDD. Because if that is something that they might have, I'm not trying to diagnose them, but I think that people just need to know that this is like a possibility. So I always take the opportunity to spread awareness about PMDD. And quite a few times people have gone, oh my God, that's what's actually wrong with me. And they have since managed to get some form of treatment. But just finding out that you have it is really not enough. Realizing after watching some of my videos or my blog posts, like it's great if you can relate to them and you're going out and you're having those conversations with your doctors. Don't be disheartened though if nobody like responds at first. Fight for it. Fight for it, because I could not live like this every day for the rest of my life until I go through menopause. Like, it's just not, it's not feasible. I can't do it. I honestly can't do it. I look back on my mother and her mood swings and how regular they were. And honestly, I think she had PMDD. And I see the destruction that caused on me as a child. The way that I get how she felt inside. And I think that's why I've let go of a lot of anger about it. But the horrible things that she said to me and she used to do to me, like, it's pretty hard to forgive a parent for treating their child in that way, I think. And I don't want to be in a position where I have to treat anyone in that way. So I really do like withdraw during this time of the month. But it's not pleasant, guys. It's not pleasant. I get emotional. Like, I'm crying right now. I'm so emotional. Like, the list of symptoms are just ridiculous. I'm going to post below the list of, like, symptoms, because that list just goes on for, like, ever. And a lot of them will be disguised and hiding in the explanation of probably other mental illnesses that you might have. But, yeah. I have discovered a few things that work for me. Please find your own things that work for you. But the Marina implant, the IUD, the Yaz as a pill, the Zoloft is really effective. I take it like all year round, like every day, but kind of doubling it either during that week or especially because it has an instant effect on me the last few days totally helps. And, you know, I guess, yes, healthy lifestyle changes, all of that kind of thing. Always really important for any mental illness, but definitely taking like a women's multivitamin I think can really help as well. I guess every GP that I've seen about it, every doctor, even like gynecologist specialist, everyone kind of has their own take, their own thoughts on it. And I have learned a lot by seeing so many, despite how frustrating it was. One of the most recent ones had said to me, you know, I think it is important to take a multivitamin, simply because you will not get enough vitamins out of like any diet that you eat, no matter how healthy you eat. And particularly for women that do have some form of like hormone condition. I say condition because it's not an imbalance. But I did think that in combination with everything else, there's no way in hell that would work just on its own. But that in combination with everything else that I do is really, really important. So let me know if you guys can relate. I really encourage you all to just explore this as something that you might have. And if you don't have it, please just share this video. I don't know, just like bring it up with your friends. I want everyone to know about this. Like, it should be really as common as just getting your period, especially in like the mental health kind of community. Like, I have seen so many doctors, people have told me their experiences with doctors and PMDD, and every single medical health professional that we've all spoken to has basically kind of gone, yeah, someone with bipolar, for example, is almost guaranteed to have it. So why, like, it just blows my mind that they wouldn't mention it to you and talk about it, you know? I guess they just want to diagnose you with the least amount of things possible. But even when you come up with that idea and they kind of brush it off, like, don't let them. You know what? I don't let my doctors tell me what to do. Like, I always make up my own mind. I make informed decisions. And I think everyone should. Everyone should be well educated. I'm not going to tell anyone what decisions they need to make. But if I'm not happy with my treatment, I'm going to say something. If I'm not happy with my doctor, I'm going to find another one. I don't stop with that. I'm probably a really frustrating patient in the sense that I go in there and I'm like, I know what's wrong with me and this is what we're going to do about it. And they kind of go, well, hang on a minute. Like, I'm the doctor. I diagnose you and I tell you what we're going to do. And it's kind of like, yeah, well, that like might work, I guess, for other people. And it's not that I'm unwilling to hear their thoughts. It's kind of like, I've already made that jump. And it's not just a naive, uneducated jump. It's a very analytical, thought out process as to how I've come to that conclusion. My low latent inhibition really allows me to do that in an extremely accurate way. So, yeah, I think that's been one of the really frustrating parts of my treatment, is that I'm sitting there and watching everything happen and nobody is working at the pace that my mind is working at. So yeah, spread awareness about this, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your experiences with PMDD. Let's start a conversation about this, because it really could change someone's life. And I really hope it's changed your life in some way, because I just don't want anyone to have to go through what I went through, you know. That's just fucked. Anyway, Happy New Year's, guys. Love you all, and I hope you're welcoming the new year in a better mood than I am.